shut up and sit down.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Build, Paint, Play. I'm Dave.
And I'm Jake.
You're interrupting Jake.
Yeah,
and I'm Rick.
I mean, am I? And when with us, we also have this character.
We got Rick.
What's up, everybody?
Right up there. We got Rick. Woo! Welcome, Rick. Good to see you virtually.
You guys as well. It's always good to see my friends.
Your what?
My friends.
Friends?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I thought you said friends, like friends and fans, that kind of thing.
France, like the country.
Dang it.
Oh,
I should have went with that.
So you're France?
Yeah. It's always good to see France.
Isn't that like rhyming slang for underpants?
Maybe.
Okay.
Who's on? Chris is on. Josh is on. Sean's on.
Okay. Yep. Josh says greetings from the pocket dimension. But
nice.
Josh will also be saying, "Hey, Rick, remember me?" So,
of course, I remember you. I remember everybody from our days at what was that show we did?
Was that little show, Painting Happy Little Minis?
Yeah.
Fantastic. I have also just remembered that I needed to go in while I was busy showing you my Leviathan Dreadnought. I should have been sharing to the group. So I'll do that now.
Which group are you sharing it to? Your Build, Paint, Play group, or Painting Happy Little Minis group, or
starting with
Painting Miniatures on Facebook group?
Starting with Build, Paint, Play, then moving on to Painting Happy Little Minis.
Okay, cool.
Don't you guys both still have the logins for Happy Little Minis?
For the group?
Yeah.
I'm not an admin in the group of Painting Happy Little Minis anymore.
I'm an admin.
You are. I think it's you and Gretchen.
I think it's me, Gretchen, and Leona. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
do any of the three of you still work for Alliance?
No.
That's awesome.
There we go. Thank you very much, everybody, for letting me get that sorted. We are all done there. Hooray! So,
what do we want to talk about first?
Pardon?
What do we want to talk about first? What have you been working on this week?
Sure. Let's talk about. So, what do we want to talk about? Well, I guess we're talking about what we've been working on.
It makes sense.
How about you start? What have you been working on?
Okay. So I'm working on a Predator.
Yep.
I gotta build 3 for my list for Adepticon, so I need a Melta one and one Melta one and 2 Plasma ones.
Okay.
So I picked up a second Predator that I'm going to work on tomorrow, so I'll try to get 2 of them done. I don't know what I want to do for the turrets. Like, I got originally I bought this Predator. It's one of the regular Predator tanks.
Okay.
And it's before they announced they were going to do a Predator support tank.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I'll just buy a Predator. I'm sure it comes with all the weapons, and it doesn't. It only comes with, the basic ones.
Yep.
And then when they did the Predator support tank, I was like, well, I already started building this. So I was going to use the Imperial Guard, the Plasma Blast Gun for the
from the Lehman
Executioner.
Rush. Yep.
And then this is the Fusion Lance from a Imperial Knight.
Okay.
So I was gonna use these on the barrels and just kind of convert them. So this will be my plasma gun, and then that'll be the Melta Lance. And now I'm like, well, should I bother doing that? Because the support one I bought has multiple weapons, so I can just use one on this one and use one on the other one. So
sure.
I don't know if it's worth me taking the time and effort to try to convert this.
You've got less than 7 weeks.
That's plenty of time.
What happens in 7 weeks?
Adepticon.
So Jake is building an Iron Warriors, a 2,000-point Iron Warriors army for Horus Heresy for Adepticon.
Yeah.
And so far has how many miniatures painted for it?
3 tanks and 2 dreadnoughts, and I need to build another.
Sorry, they're painted?
Oh no, built.
Built. Okay.
Oh, well, the nice thing with them being tanks is the paint scheme that I came up with that I think is going to help is I'm going to prime everything black on the bottom.
Yep.
And then flip them all over and sort of do a full cover of like the bolt gun metal or lead belcher or whatever it is, the darker one. And then I'm going to kind of high noon them or slightly from the front on the vehicles, high noon on the dreadnoughts.
Yep.
With plate mail steel from Army Painter.
Okay.
And then I'll do all my washes and my distressing and hazard stripes and all that stuff. So honestly, like the first 3 coats of paint are going to take me 15 minutes. Like I basically have to let them dry before I can flip them over.
Right.
And then I get to do all my washes. So I figure the first day I'll get all 3 of the coats on and then do the washes because I have to let the washes dry before I can do anything else. So, and then I get to do all the stuff that I like, which is I get to concentrate on details and all the the hazard stripes and the hash marks and the kill lines and all that stuff. You'll have to show me how to. I just picked up some. It's from AK. It's like a weathering powder.
Right. Yep.
I have never used weathering powder. I've used paints to dry brush to do the effect.
Okay.
But I've never used a weathering powder. So
right.
Okay. You'll have to walk me through that one.
Sure. Yeah. There's a couple of different approaches we can take for that, but yeah, we can talk that through and maybe share that on the show also.
100%.
Cool.
We can do a weathering episode.
Yep.
What are you working on?
Okay. How about you, Rick? What have you been up to? Are you working on painting anything? Preparing for anything?
I'm preparing thousands of miniatures.
Should we talk about that one later? Or
ambitious?
So, I'm trying to think. Is there something? Yeah. I'm going to step away just for a second. You talk about yours. I'll go grab a miniature I'm working on.
Okay. Cool. Oh, excellent. Yeah, bring that one up. That would be good. Cool. So we've chased him off already, which is pretty cool. That was awesome.
What are we 4 minutes in?
No, it's 9. I was going to say, one thing that I did get just after last week's show was this envelope. And in this envelope is my 2023 membership book for the Brush Builders Union.
Nice.
And based on things that that Simon was saying when we chatted to him in episode 1 for this season, I am just writing down, here are the miniatures that I painted. Here's what I was what my works in progress for January were. I haven't written down any painting notes because you can remember everything, right? I will never lose my memories.
Nope.
And yeah, so January, painted the Hecaton Land Fortress, 10 Raven Guard Tactical Marines, 10 Wordbearer Tactical Marines, 10 Hearthkin Warriors, and 5 Chthonian Berserkers.
Chthonian Berserkers.
So that's not bad. What's that, 36 models?
It's not bad.
That's pretty solid.
And February so far, I've painted my Iron Hands Leviathan, my Iron Hands Forge Lord, 5 Tartarus Terminators, and 5 Raven Guard with Reaper Cannons. So
it's pretty good.
Yeah, that's what I've been working on this past week. So
Dave, you're definitely holding it down for us. You're bringing my average up.
Somebody's gonna do it. Somebody's gonna participate in this hobby chat.
So here's what I've been working on. These are from Steamforge Games Horizon Zero Dawn.
Oh, cool.
So this is the big Thunderbird creature. I can't read the box from here, but so I black primed these with Vallejo rattle cans.
Yep.
And then went over with the new Vallejo metallic silver, which is part of the new formula of Vallejo paints for their game color that comes out sometime in the next. I think you can order it now.
Soonish. Yeah.
Yeah, soonish. And then I'm also working on this right here, which is also part of that.
Yep.
And so I'm gonna try to do some OSL in here where the eye lights are like blue and they kind of like illuminate inside there and go through and do some detail work. But I want to ask you guys and the community watching, because I have one of these models from the Horizon Zero Dawn game is got me wanting to try something that I have never done before. And it's this model.
Okay.
All right. So it has this like bladder bag
Yeah.
on the back, and it has these these throat bladders here,
Okay.
and it spits out like an acid right in the game.
Okay.
But in the images of the miniature on the box,
Yep.
like just the regular art renders, you can see the fluid inside the bag. So it
Oh.
has like that liquidy look to
Yeah.
it to give it a wave and a third dimensional clear bag look, right? So I'm curious as to how would you get that effect to make it look where it almost look like you're looking through it and could see the fluid inside the bag,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, that's a super tough one. I know how to do it for like a bottle or a little potion jar on somebody's belt, because you don't have to suspend like much disbelief when you're looking down sort of from the top of it.
Right.
But for something like that where it is a big bladder,
Right.
if you use the same techniques, you'll end up with that. The view from above is going to be very different.
Right.
So,
Than a side view or anything.
Yeah.
So I was curious, do I do it? Do I try to because I think I have 2 or 3 of these.
Okay.
Right. So if I mess one up, who cares? Then I can do the other 2 in a normal fashion where it just is a bag and it's just a solid color with some like highlighting around these like bands that are on the bag.
Yeah.
But as far as like the effect, some of the folks that are watching, I know are amazing painters and might have a suggestion as to how I could make that effect happen.
I agree with Dave. Like I've done, on Space Marines and stuff, especially Blood Angels, they always have little files of like, blood on their belts or potions or whatever. I've done potions on like D&D minis. But again, like Dave is saying, you're usually only seeing it like if it's on the guy, like you're only seeing it from like basically this angle. You can't see it from behind, and from the top there's usually like a stopper or something. So you're only really worrying about like this view.
Right.
Like you could do that technique and just do it all the way around it. But to Dave's point, if you looked from the top, you're not gonna see it.
Right.
Yep.
But you could also do it so there's almost like a shine, or like the top of the bag is just like not damaged, but like you could do almost like a reflective effect on the top so you can't see down.
Okay.
One other
you'd have to do like a perimeter basically.
One other way that could work, and I think Josh is alluding to this in the chat, is I think if you went along and cut the top part of that bladder off, like if you used like an awesome razor saw or a jeweler's saw or something like that, to carefully, yeah, to get something that's going to be kind of level, not completely level. You want to have like some movement in it, and then paint the whole bladder as if it was just the liquid.
Yeah.
And so you can still do that. You can do that same painting approach as people would do on potion bottles or whatever, and then use like UV resin, like build up layers of UV resin on the back of it to build up the sort of air pocket inside the bladder, and then gloss coat it for the whole thing.
Because the resin will dry so it's clear.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like we did a couple of like last season we did like this awesome recap on all these like pro painted models from overseas, and there's that guy who did the that giant that's fighting in the ocean.
Oh yeah.
And like his base is like one of the coolest bases I've ever seen, and it's all done with that. It looks like it's done with that UV resin. It's definitely clear resin.
The only problem is this is a solid piece of plastic.
Yep.
It's not a hollow piece, so that would be extremely difficult to get in there and scrape out.
I wouldn't scrape out the interior of it. I would literally just cut it through like
and then just remold it. I see what you're saying.
yeah, then just build up the layers. Yeah.
Guess who's not doing that?
You.
Well, what you could do, Rick,
I
if you did it,
tried.
Rick, if you did it carefully enough, if this is the thing, right? So if you like cut off the top, you could then paint the thing to look like whatever you want, and then take the top and using like blue mold, like blue plaster mold, you could then make the mold and then pull the top out and then pour the resin in, and then the resin will be the same shape, and then you just glue it back on the top. Like that's probably easier than doing layered UV resin. I mean, it'd be way quicker. But
I think if you have two flat surfaces, it will be quicker, for sure, and easier. But I think it would look cooler if it was sculpted. That's just me.
Yeah.
I don't disagree. It would definitely look cooler, but that's gonna get a ton of work.
I think it'd be awesome. It'd be awesome.
It depends on how much time and effort you want to spend on this model that is going to be on the table so people can play.
Horizon Zero Dawn. Yep. Yeah. Just quickly, we've got Chris in the chat as well. Hi, Chris. I said, Jake, I'll be glad to talk weathering with you. My Imperial fists are dirty as can be. Chris and Jake are going to be playing at Adepticon.
Yeah.
Josh says, ironically, I remember when I could remember everything. I think that's usually the last thing you forget. Jeff Smith's here. Hey, Jeff. Evening.
What's up, Jeff?
Chris Corker said, I'm at 100 painted models so far this year. Kicked it off with a large Star Wars Legion job.
Oh my God.
Definitely good. And Josh says...
Chris is an amazing painter anyways.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Corker is amazing.
Yep. We've got a pic of one of Chris's recent paint jobs in the show later on. Well, we'll get to ask him how he did it. So it'd be cool. Excellent. Other stuff. I was gonna say I'm not sure if this is like a bad thing to do, but I built 10 of these guys.
Dude, they are brutal.
So these are gonna be my like Iron Hands Space Marines with las cannons. So a squad of 10. I hear that like takes out vehicles pretty quickly.
Wow.
10 shots that all have a pretty good chance of penetrating a vehicle and blowing it up.
The big thing with them that I have heard is how you deal with those guys is you take a Scorpius tank.
Oh, okay.
Or two Scorpius tanks is even better. And you just drop a couple plates on that squad.
And some templates on them. Right. Okay, I'll be prepared. Take out the Scorpius first.
The problem is that you can just park the Scorpius behind a hill. Because it doesn't need line of sight.
Oh, sure. Well, I'll take it out with my Raven Guard.
Okay, cool.
I don't know.
Well, I have a question. I have a question for Jake real quick.
Yep.
So you're making what kind of unit for Horus Heresy for Adepticon?
What do you mean? I'm just making a Horus Heresy army to bring and play in a couple of games.
When are you gonna have time to do that? We're busy, bro.
Every night the hall closes at 5.
6.
Oh, 6, even better. But like, between 6 and 2 a.m. I'll probably get some games in.
Good Lord.
Yeah, Chris has got 2 Scorpius tanks in his list.
Yep.
Nice.
And James is here. Hey, James. Yes, Chris Gorka, Plasma Glow.
It's that Plasma Glow.
Have some wonderful Plasma Glow. But yes. What was I going to say? My mind's gone blank. Okay, the other thing I've been working on is a demo table for Adepticon.
Nice. Any companies we know?
Yeah, it's one that you both are intimately familiar with, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to announce it completely yet. So,
unless Alex is in the chat and can speak to it, I think we should just keep it on the DL for now.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Let's do that then. But it's coming along. It's coming along nicely. I'm pretty happy with it.
Awesome.
So, cool.
No, get that, Jake. Get it. It's got to be important.
Oh no. I don't know if it was or wasn't. I don't recognize the number. If I don't recognize the number, I usually don't pick it up.
Nice. That's cool. Okay,
super funny.
So we've gone through all the things we've done. Oh, sorry, I also forgot. Last Wednesday, I played my played a game of Warcry, Warcry 2.0. It was the my Iron Golem warband against Skaven. And it was a pretty cool game. But I was beaten fairly soundly. So, nicely done. Next week, we start on the campaign. So I think we're going to have...
Where are you playing this at?
With my gaming group that I play with regularly, over at a friend's place. We've got... I think we're going to have 8 or 10 people in the campaign.
I heard a rumor that your store is moving. Your store you like to play at.
Yes, my friendly local game store, games and stuff. I think it is.
It's going bigger.
Yeah. So hopefully, if everything goes well, that'll be later this summer. I think late summer, early fall. It should be a huge store.
16,000 square feet, I think, is what they're upgrading to.
Okay. Yeah, I haven't. I don't know. Haven't heard any numbers.
Is that all going to be store, or I thought don't they use some stuff for
storing gaming?
Storing gaming. It's a mix. Yeah. But yeah. So that should be quite.
They usually do it like half and half, so it'll probably be like 8,000 retail, 8,000 play space.
Nice.
But they don't need 8,000, I don't think, for play space.
Well, they've run larger events for like for card games and a few other things, but where they've basically used a like not abandoned, but an empty store in their sort of in their current location. So when I say an empty store, like an empty grocery store.
Right.
And they've hired in tables and run events for 400, 500 people. So I'm sure if they're able to keep all that under one location.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
But they might, I guess, I'd guess then that they'd probably split that up into...
Yeah, I'll be coming out probably for their grand opening.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yeah, that's a conversation I had with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
That'd be good. But yeah, that's for... I'm not wearing the shirt. Had I known
You
you were
did?
going to talk about it, I would have worn the shirt. Instead of wearing my Monument Hobby Nerd shirt. Excellent.
Great, by the way.
Pardon?
Monument Hobbies. I had a great conversation with them the other day based on your recommendation.
Oh, cool.
So
excellent.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I think that that kind of segues us into the reason we got you in.
What?
We invited you onto the podcast is to talk about. So for everybody who's watching who doesn't know, Rick and I used to work at Game Trade Media. It's part of Alliance Game Distributors. When I say we used to work, I mean Rick used to work there, and I'd come in like once a week, twice a week, and we'd do a little show called Painting Happy Little Minis, where we would just sit down and paint and talk and talk about how we wanted to get sponsorship from Netflix and Chipotle and
and maple syrup companies,
that kind of thing. But at the end of 2019, you left to embark on an incredibly ambitious, incredibly amazing journey called Rick Rolls America, where you were going to travel around, visiting stores, visiting companies in the gaming space, conventions, artists, doing all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And of course, as we all know, what happened early 2020.
Yeah.
He visited a couple.
I still got a good 3 months in, and I went from Maryland to Texas and states in between, and back to Maryland, up to Boston, and saw Jake at his store.
Yep.
Went to Gamma out in Reno, and then at the end of Gamma, the world closed.
Yep, everything shut down. Stores were closed for a while, and so you had the vision that you had for Rick Rolls America. Just to explain a little bit more about that for us.
Sure. So what its original envisioning was that I was going to travel around, visit friendly local game stores, publisher like headquarters if they had them, and conventions that were in our play space, right? And do live stream content around the visits to kind of promote the local store, the local community, and also interact with the store owners for my publisher partners, my partners in play, as far as like, kind of like promote their product to the retailer if they didn't already have any insight on it, or show a demo. I was running paint and takes at at the stores, doing game demos, all sorts of stuff. And it was a lot of fun interviewing different people along the route. I was able to go to like stores in Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, multiples in Texas. I went to Reaper headquarters, which was cool to see their process and how they make their master molds and all that stuff. Arkansas, back to Tennessee. Hit a couple more stores in Tennessee. Then I went back to Virginia, and then went up to Maryland again. Hit a couple more stores in Maryland. New York Toy Fair, PAX East, Jake's store for like a week. I stayed at his in his area for like a week, and then he and I flew out to GAMA, which is the Game and Manufacturing Association's big expo industry trade show. And and then it all ended there, and I was trapped in a hotel for 4 months because I fucked up my life.
2 weeks. It was 2 weeks after we got back from Gamma, because it was, or not even 2 weeks. It was
the next day, the 13th, I think, of March.
13th of
is
March.
like
Yep.
is when it all ended.
Yeah, but Gamma's like the 2nd to the 8th or something. So it was like because I got back, and remember I told you one of our owners, one of the other owners, his wife is a nurse, and she was like, well, you've been in like 4 airports. And I was like, right. She's like, you should test and stay home for like a week. And this is before like COVID testing was big. It was just like, she was like, you should probably stay home for a week and make sure you're okay. And she's like, you should quarantine. I was like, okay. So I basically stayed home for like 5 days. And then I went to work the following Monday, I think. And that's when the governor of Massachusetts announced that effective Tuesday at 6, everything was going to shut down for 2 weeks. So that Monday was like Christmas Eve. Everybody was coming to be like, hey, I heard you guys are all closing tomorrow. Like guys were walking out with like armloads of like stuff to paint, and people had like baskets full of like board games and stuff. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then Tuesday, same thing. We were open until 6. So all day people were coming in like grabbing stuff. And then I was like, I guess I'll spend the rest of the week online ordering stuff. Like, and I just did like work from home and order stuff. But yeah, that like we closed. I think you're right. It was whatever that Tuesday was.
The 13th. Yeah.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Madness.
Yeah, and you got stuck at Red Roof, right?
Yeah, stuck in a Red Roof Inn in Chesapeake, Virginia for like 4 months because literally I had packed up my entire life. I got rid of the townhouse up in Maryland, put everything in storage, and I was going to be on the road for a year. Luckily, I did have Red Roof as a sponsor of Rick World's America. So, but after 2 weeks on quarantine, or during that whole process, they're like, "Hey, it doesn't look like it's gonna end. It's gonna be a while. We got to drop our sponsorship." And then I was like, "No, oh, it's cool, no problem. I'll look for a local room to rent or an apartment or something." And I started reaching out, and I was getting all these people like, so like first questions. So we're not doing any in-person like walkthroughs, but we do have to hand off the keys or whatever. But have you been out of state? Yes. Have you been to any major events? Yes. In the last like 90 days. Yeah, I've been to like New York Toy Fair, which had, I don't know,
10,000
30 or 40. Yeah. It had a lot of thousands of people.
Yep.
And then PAX East, which had thousands of people. And they're like, yeah, we're not even going to show you this place. We're not going to do anything. So I was like, it sucked.
Oh man. Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah. And then, but in that time I was able to pivot, right?
Yep.
Because I was like, shoot, I'm not doing my Rick Rolls America thing. That was what I was going to do.
Yep.
Right. And then I went and luckily my 2 youngest kids lived in Chesapeake, Virginia. And I went and visited them at my ex's house, and they had me sitting on one end of the couch and they're on the other end, and they're on their phones and not really interacting. They're teenagers, right? And they're like giggling and stuff. And I'm like, "What? Hey, I'm here to visit. What are you guys doing?" "Oh, it's TikTok, Dad. You wouldn't understand." I was like,
well, teach me.
"Okay." Right. And I did. I said, "Well, I understood what it was, short form video content, which is what we did at Game Trade Media a lot." And it was like, "Well, what are you watching?" Well, and they both kind of like told me what kind of videos they were consuming, right? And then my brain said, "Well, what kind of stuff have your mom or I bought for you because of things you've seen on this platform?" And they both listed like 10 things each. I was like, "Well, okay, so I can take this platform and start doing board game content and miniatures and all that stuff, hobby content for the publishers." And now I do it for I run the TikTok accounts for like WizKids, Gale Force 9, Simon Games, Vallejo Paints, Army Painter, and multiple others. Hunters Entertainment, Rolla Crit.
Rick
Who
says
else?
multiple others, but it's you've got
Cattle
60,
Game Labs,
60,
So
70. How many clients do you have?
Steamforge Games,
Yep.
Steamforge Games. Weird, who does Malifaux, right?
Yep.
It's like if it's a miniature company outside of Parabellum and Mantic and Games Workshop, I do stuff with them.
Right.
It's kind of crazy. Like I'm working with a company called Olmec, who makes these dinosaur miniatures.
Oh yeah, cool. They do Drowned Earth, right?
Drowned Earth, yes. So I'm doing stuff with them, and it's crazy that because of the pandemic and that the introduction of a hot new platform, I was able to pivot and do what I do now here at Thunderforge Studios, and now we're doing events, which leads us to what we're talking about, right?
Yep.
Long story short, I'm now also running events.
Right. Fantastic. Well, I just wanted to go in there. I did mention, how many accounts do you have? How many companies do you do short form video content for?
Between tabletop gaming companies, comic book publishers, and toy manufacturers, around 40 different companies.
Okay, radio.
Yeah, and I'm calling the herd a little bit because it's really just me here now doing it all. I had a couple people that were coming down helping out, but once they realized it's not all fun and games, that it is work, they kind of are like, "Oh, yeah," and they kind of move.
I mean, our industry, it's cool that you're able to kind of pivot. And we've talked about it, before, but I think one of the big things is our industry in general is not the most like tech savvy industry. And it's not that people that work in our industry or people that are fans of our industry don't know how to do stuff. It's that the companies themselves do not do that kind of advertising. Like they don't really do any advertising. I mean, the biggest company is probably probably Wizards of the Coast in terms of like having a handle on marketing. And for them, they don't really like the most expansive Magic advertising that I've seen is when Magic puts advertisements for Magic the Gathering in packs of Magic cards. And I'm like, already buying your product. Why is there an advertisement for Magic in my Magic? It's like, it's dumb.
Right. I have those conversations a lot with publishers of not so much board games, but of like role-playing games and stuff. And I understand too that they want to be able to send stuff via media mail, right? So you can't have advertisements in books for media mail purposes, right? But if you could get a company like Death Wish Coffee to take the inside blank page as an advert page, like having a game night, need to stay up late, drink Death Wish Coffee. It'll keep you awake and help you kill your enemies. Blah blah blah, blah whatever, right? Yeah. And they were to pay you $10,000 to put it in every print of that particular book. I think I could be okay with not having to send that via media mail, because with the increase in publication due to paper shortages and all the things that book publishers are facing right now, I would take the inside blank cover front and back and the back blank cover or blank pages front and back and sell ad space right there, personally, and mitigate those costs, and then it doesn't matter, because in the end, a lot of publishers are still sending onesies and twosies via USPS. So
I think the biggest thing that hurts is in our community, right? Like in think about everybody that plays, right? Think about everybody you know. Like we have friends of ours. We have friends of ours across this industry that like people have high-end tech jobs or they work in the medical field. You know what I mean? Like, so nobody's ever gonna be at work reading an issue of like Forbes and come across an advertisement for like Pathfinder. Like that's just not a thing.
Right.
And all the things that used to do that for one reason or another don't exist. Like I think one of the best things ever was when Dragon magazine existed.
Right.
Or even the original White Dwarf, when it was like you could pick up White Dwarf and there'd be an advert for Judge Dredd, which they didn't own. There'd be an advert for Dungeons and Dragons, which they didn't own. There'd be an advert for Lord of the Rings, which at that time they did not have a license with. Like, so you were like, oh, this stuff looks really cool. So it was a magazine, like Dragon magazine, Dungeon magazine, they did the same thing. You could sell ad space. So like, if Dave puts out a new paint line, and I pick up my copy of Dragon magazine, I could flip through and go, oh, Dave Taylor's got a new paint liner. Oh, Thunderforge Productions is going to be going to, Emerald City Comic Con. Like, you could do that, and that would be helpful. I just kind of wish that they still did that. It's super strange to me that there's not like a company agnostic newspaper or magazine that exists in our industry. I mean, there's a bunch of ones that are owned by companies. Like Alliance has their magazine, and I think Meeple Monthly. What's Meeple Monthly? Is that
GTS or ACD?
Yeah, I think it's ACD. So you get ACD, and then Peach State has their own, and then there's another small one. I can't remember the name of it. But I'm like, if all four of those companies just were like, hey, what if we cut our costs by 75%, and we each put in 25% of the money we were spending, and then have a group that works for all of us publish this, you could literally put that out like Wizard magazine back in the day that had all kinds of comic book stuff in it. It's just so strange to me that nobody's like that just doesn't exist anymore. Like Paizo exists because they made Dragon and Dungeon.
They took over the publishing responsibilities for those two magazines in the beginning of their existence. Absolutely.
Yep. I'm gonna say two things. One, Jake, I asked you not to talk to people about that paint line, but anyway. Two, I remember as a kid, like I remember the first time I went to Gen Con, 2014, walking around Gen Con going, oh my goodness, I remember 30 years ago reading about Gen Con in Dragon magazine.
Yep.
And it was like, as a young kid in Australia playing D&D, there's a place I can go. It's this huge event. Yeah, sorry. I just got all nostalgic for a second when you talked about Dragon magazine.
Yeah, I love Dragon magazine.
I've got stacks of them sitting right here on one of the chairs here in my office in the studio here, and when I flip through them, you see the old FASA ads and the old what was it, the other one, Ice?
Yeah, right.
Ice-E, right?
Yep.
Ads
for like Boot Hill.
Booyah. Yeah, it's crazy, and the nostalgia factor runs high.
It does. Yeah. It's insane.
But again, I think like it's nostalgia for us, but even for younger hobbyists, for like if I was just getting into the hobbying world now, right? Like let's say I'm in high school, like I'm 17, 18, 19. So like I go to the comic shop, like I go to the hobby shop. Like if I'm picking up White Dwarf, which I am, it's awesome. But it only has Games Workshop products in it, which is great. But it's like, it's going to tell me about the stuff that I want. But then it's like, okay, where do I pick up the magazine that has all the new stuff that's coming out like in the industry? And that doesn't exist. And it's like, is there like a resource where I can find all that stuff? It doesn't exist. Like, it's just so strange to me.
And the thing is, like, Game Trade Magazine, Meeple Monthly, and whatever the one that Gamma has, that is literally, they only give to Gamma members. So it doesn't matter.
All that is it's a cribbed version of GTM.
Right. And what GTM is, and this is no bust on GTM truly isn't for the end consumer. When you look at it as a magazine, it's literally just for the retailer to go through and be like, here's what's available through this distributor and our publisher partners, with a few articles that are sprinkled in for, like, there's a copy right there. It gives you some insight on, like, someone reviewed a game. Is there still a Painting Happy Little Minis article in
There
the
is.
most current?
Yeah.
All right, so you do get a Painting Happy Little Minis article from some guy named Dave Taylor. That he might know something about it. Yeah. Oh, there he is. Still wearing the mask even. That's great.
Well, I put that on when I did an article about resin, and I haven't switched out the photo. Hang on a second. Go back and show me the logo.
Hang on. The logo?
Yeah.
Painting Happy Little Minis is presented.
That's funny because I go through and what do you call it? I lay that out for them as well, but I don't use that logo. So
It's
a red-banded one, right?
I use the
red.
yeah, the older one.
Yeah.
So, Rick, to your point, like, you can see, like, when I go through it, I literally, like, I dog ear the corners of all the stuff. I'm like, oh, gotta remember to order that. I'm like, ooh, that looks cool. I'm gonna look into that. Or like, oh, I gotta remember to add this to the website. Like, I love that stuff. But again, the one thing that drives me nuts about this magazine is they'll do stuff like this. They're like, oh, check it out, featured stuff, Starfinder. Guess what's not in stock anywhere? Starfinder. Like, so like,
Time that magazine gets printed and distributed to the retailers, the spotlight items, and this isn't just GTM. This is all of the magazines across the board from distributors. By the time it gets to the retailer's hand, and they're like, "Oh, I should look at this," and they, "Oh, spotlight item, that looks great." They go to order it. It's already been, new to order and sold out through distribution before it ever even gets to your hands. So sometimes those magazines are obsolete. But what it is, how I always viewed it as, if you can get it in front of a consumer, right, and they can truly understand what its use is for. It's like the old Christmas catalog from Sears or JCPenney. They can just go through and go, oh snap, I didn't know a game like that existed, or da 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 da. And what it could do is it could spark a conversation with the retailer and the consumer, where they'll go, oh, that game's coming out in 3 months, and we should have copies of it coming in. But if you like that genre of thing, we have this game that's already on the shelf that kind of fills that niche as well, or scratches that itch. And then maybe you can divert them to a sale and be like, but make sure if you want it, you can put it on hold with us, blah, blah, blah. It should spark conversation between consumer and retailer, hopefully.
We use it a lot. Like, we have a couple of guys that are like diehard board game guys, and I'll just give them issues. I'm like, here, check it out. If there's anything you want me to get, let me know. I'll order it for you, kind of thing. But yeah, again, I just wish that there was, and who knows, maybe this is my next my 9th business. Like, maybe I'll start like another publication, and like bring back something we'll call it Goblin instead of like Dragon or Dungeon, and then just like put it out, and it'll have like it like, again, I think it'd be really helpful. Can you imagine like think of it like a menu, right? Like, you're like, oh, what's available? And it's like, here's Steamforge, here's what they're doing, here's Wargame, here's Battlefront, here's what they're working on, here's CMON, here's what they got coming out. Because like, Kickstarter is great, but it's not for everybody. Like, and Kickstarter always makes me laugh. People are like, oh, that game was huge on Kickstarter. I'm like, right. When you go and you look at it, 800 people backed it.
Yeah.
And you're like,
that's nothing.
You're like, who cares? Like, or like you'll see something really big and they're like 2,600 people backed it. And I'm like, 2,600 people out of how many gamers? Like, forget everything. Think about just Gen Con attendance.
Yep.
That's like less. That's
70, 80,000. Yeah.
Yep.
70, 80,000 attendees at Gen Con. And then you look at like games like Wingspan, right? Very popular game. They underproduced it in their first wave, and by tens of thousands of units. Right?
Yep.
And then the second wave, they sold out within like a week and a half or 2 weeks. Yep. And they've had multiple waves. It's crazy. And you got like Catan has sold over 1 million copies, right? It's ridiculous. There's literally, I don't know if I can say this, but when you go to Fantasy Flight's headquarters in Minneapolis, Minnesota, at the Asmodee space, right? When you walk in, granted, you have to sign an NDA, right, before you even go in.
Okay. So you should not be telling us this? Or did you not sign it?
I don't think it worries. I think it's been more than 5 years since I've been there.
Okay.
But when you walk in, they have a list of like their top 10 or top 20 selling games.
Yep.
And they have like a counter, like you would see at a stock market exchange,
Right.
that shows how many units have been sold.
Right.
And it's literally like a constant, like for like Catan, and then Pandemic.
Right.
All their games, Ticket to Ride, and it's showing these numbers, and it's like over 1 million sold for Catan. It's like, and that might only be that many sold under their ownership of it, because Mayfair owned it before them, and who knows how many copies was sold under Mayfair's.
Yeah.
It's crazy to think that there are that many people buying that kind of game, and then the fact that you said, Monopoly, Yahtzee, Uno, all the old school games, Sorry, Life, Shoots and Ladders, all that stuff, are still selling tens of thousands of copies every year.
Yep.
It's nuts. It's a huge industry that people don't think is huge, but it is.
Yep. Just quickly going to jump in the chat. Kelly's here. Hey, Kelly. Good to see you. Josh is saying, I'm surprised that Carensere Publishing doesn't have a miniatures wargame magazine. They have fine scale modeling and model railroading, but nothing for sci-fi minis. Sean says Dragon Magazine had convention listing in the back few pages, and I would travel to the nearest ones to play. Josh also says, I remember those ads for Origins and Gen Con. They were far off magical places full of wonder, and I'd never thought I'd ever get to visit. That was me, like 30 odd years ago in Australia.
It's great. There's another one too. What's the one that Warlord does? Was it Wargamers Illustrated?
Wargames Illustrated. There are there's a bunch of more historically focused ones. Yeah, Wargames Illustrated, miniature wargames, Soldiers and Strategy.
That one sells pretty well, but that's like, again, like you said, it's a slice of our industry. It's just historical wargaming.
It's focused on that, yeah. Definitely has that focus. But it'd be an interesting one. It'd be one of those projects where you'd need to start out with somebody with a lot of money to throw around.
Yeah, I think if you came up with a template and you went to somebody like Asmodee and you were like, look, what if we put out an actual game? Like, we're not doing it just for you. We're putting out a gaming focused like periodical that we would stock in places like Barnes and Noble and your local newsstand, and people can order it direct and stuff like that. And then if they chip in, then everybody else is on the hook, right? Because then it's like, well, Asmodee is on board. Like, do you guys want to do this? And Steamforge is like, well, yeah, we want our games to be seen alongside that. And then everybody and again, you make it so it's reasonable. Like,
sure.
You know what I mean? Like, no one's expecting me to like retire to the Bahamas off of this. It's just like, we're trying to help of
that, I'm out.
Well, you can retire to the Red Roof in the Bahamas.
Oh, there you go.
Fantastic. Nice. Okay, well, speaking of conventions, tell us a bit more about this craziness at C2E2. What are you up to there?
Yeah. So I
would start with what C2E2 is.
So C2E2 is the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo in Chicago, Illinois, and it is a convention run by a company called ReedPop, which is the same company that runs all the PAXs and also New York Comic Con and Emerald City Comic Con out in Seattle. And they also have what's called just Reed Exposition, Reed Expos, which does like home expos, RV expos,
radio.
all over the world. They're global. The Reed Pop does all the Comic Cons and stuff that we're familiar with. And is if there was a paint and take at your show as something that your attendees could come and enjoy. And he's like, oh man, that would be great. Let me connect you to our events coordinator, and talked to them and kind of pitched my idea of how I would run a paint and take for their show. And March 31st, April 1st and 2nd, Thunderforge Studios will be running what I will be calling a paint and take arena, not a paint and take area,
Sure.
because it's gonna be a fight to get in. But for everybody that comes to the show, they're gonna everybody gets a free miniature while supplies last that they can paint. They don't have to paint; they can just come and grab one if they want it. Such as a miniature like this. Like this size would be free, right?
Right.
So
Where's that from?
That's a Venusian Ranger.
Venusian Ranger?
Yeah, yeah, this might be from a game coming out sometime soon. Yeah, and but so they're bringing me in. They're giving me a 30-foot by 30-foot footprint within the vendor hall. They have a pop-up arcade, like old school arcade with some of the like new Japanese arcade systems, and I'm going to be near that area in the vendor hall, which is great because that's where everybody goes, right? Everybody will be in the vendor hall and walking through. But I'm using it as a marketing tool, right? Yeah. So I'm going to be, besides just working with the publisher partners to have people come and paint their miniatures, if you come in and you pick up, like I want to paint this miniature, and let's say it's from WizKids, then I'll say, cool, if you follow WizKids on any one of their social media platforms, and I'll have a menu of all these companies and QR codes for all their socials. And for every social a person follows, they get a raffle ticket, and we're giving away some really cool prizes throughout the weekend. Like a starter paint set from Army Painter, some stuff from Geek Envy. So like Geek Envy sent a bunch of these.
All right, the Game away. Envy. Yep.
Yeah, or Game Envy, right? Game Envy, and some handles and some other stuff. We're gonna have a full Marvel United Kickstarter pledge level of CMON from CMON. The Kickstarter all-in pledge level of Marvel United. So it's like 60 or 80 miniatures or 100 miniatures.
It's a lot.
It's a ton of freaking miniatures. Someone's gonna win that. And if it gets here in time, we will also have a Galactus from the new Marvel Zombies Zombicide to give away at C2E2 as well.
Yep. Don't you have one there?
I don't yet. I have Cthulhu's just behind me that I've been working on. The big Cthulhu, right?
Just bigger than.
And Galactus is bigger than that. It's huge.
Just quickly talking about Simon Kickstarter. I don't know if you saw the latest Tabletop Inquirer meme. It was basically talking about how somebody burned out their scroll wheel on their mouse on the latest Simon Kickstarter.
Trying to look at everything.
It's like, man, I'm going to have to play this like 3 times a day for the rest of my life to use all these models, but I want them.
Well, the one that they just, I think there might be 24 hours left on that particular Kickstarter or less. But it's the new Marvel United Multiverse Kickstarter, and it adds another like 200 or 300 miniatures. I don't know. It adds a lot. It's and it's all, you can play everything with all the, you have Marvel United X-Men, and now this new Multiverse coming out. And you can play any character in any of the versions of the games, which is freaking awesome. Right?
I just got my copy of the Marvel Zombies from Simon, which is the Zombicide skin version.
Yep. That's super fun too. Did you just get
Galactus is from?
Yeah, that's the set that Galactus comes from. They haven't sent me any of it yet, which is crazy. But Galactus is like literally just arrived January 9th here in the States, and they're doing some like what they got to do to get it out to,
Yeah, he's huge. He's like, isn't he? You should check on their Kickstarter, but isn't he like almost 3 feet tall? I know he's huge.
Yeah, he's monstrous. It's beautiful.
It's toddler sized.
Yeah. So if we're lucky and they can get it to me in time, we're gonna have an unpainted one available as part of the raffle. And that's the thing about the raffle too, is like for everything that you follow, you get a raffle ticket. So you could win all sorts of different stuff. But also, let's say you're like, well, I'm not going to be here because you have to be. I'm not going to be like, we'll send it to you. No, you got to be present. You got to. We want the crowd around the table when we announce who's going to win some of these bigger prizes. But if you're not going to be around, you can follow things, because miniatures this size are going to be free. But let's say you want to paint this, like this Drake from Mantic, which this one will be there.
Yep.
It'll be five follows, still free. But
Right.
your tickets from 5 follows will get you a bigger model to go paint. And I've got this, like this thing. I've got like this thing from Mantic. It's got a little like turret thing that sits in there. But I don't even know what game this is for. It apparently this is no longer a game that they make or something. I don't know. But it's also, and then WizKids literally sent me like almost like probably 3,000 to 5,000 miniatures. And you saw the TikTok that I did, a whole palette of miniatures. It's ridiculous.
Yep. In the show notes below, I've got a link in there to Rick's TikTok. You can go and check out his personal. Well, your TikTok is Tabletop Santa, and you can see the huge palette of minis from WizKids.
Fuck yeah. It's nuts.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So, you've got obviously WizKids, you've got Matic, you've got other folks doing some sponsoring. Game Envy. Who else? Army Painter.
Army Painter's providing paint palettes, miniatures, or paint palettes. Some miniatures from their new line of miniatures that they're making. Brushes, paints. They're supplying also. Yep. So we're getting some stuff from them. Weird is on board. Warlord Games is sending some stuff. Monument Hobbies. Let's see. Simon. Yeah, Simon's sending all sorts of stuff. Like Steamforged is sending some stuff as well. But I already have I think I have 1,000 of the cats and dog miniatures from the Animal Adventures.
Awesome. The Dungeons and Doggos.
Dungeons and Doggos, yeah. Yep. So I have a ton of those already. I've got a bunch of Song of Ice and Fire miniatures that are going to be there. So if you want to paint something that's very epic scale, fantasy, there's going to be that. Catalyst is sending stuff. I said Weird, right? With Malifaux, they're sending some stuff. But here's the funniest part and the greatest part too, right? Is I'll be at Adepticon. This will be my first Adepticon this year.
Yep.
And it's the weekend before C2E2.
Yep.
Right? And do not doubt, I will be going around talking to all the publishers there.
Yep.
To be like, hey, next weekend I'm going to be at a convention that has 90,000 attendees.
Yep.
Would there be anything you'd like to add to the paint and take?
Yep.
Right. So there's going to be it's going to be massive. It's going to be so much fun. And it's not just like miniature and miniature hobby suppliers that are participating as like prize supporters, right? I've got a company called What's Your Passion, which makes geek themed jewelry. Like they made a necklace that had Thor's hammer, Stormbreaker. They made a ring that had Iron Man's arc reactor as the ring head. All sorts of cool stuff. And they're sending a bunch of jewelry to be raffled off. Death Wish Coffee is participating. They're giving like these like coffee baskets. Like they're sending a bunch of Death Wish coffee swag to give away. Bandai,
right,
is good. I've already got some stuff from them. I've got some model kits, some Gundam model kits.
Nice.
And one of them is also a model kit of Megatron. Right, which is sick. It's another like, I don't know, like 16 or 18 inch tall model once it's all put together. It's glorious. And I'll be giving that away. But, it's going to be wild. So if anybody's in the Chicagoland area or coming into C2E2 or hanging out after Adepticon and we just want to spend an extra week in Chicagoland, come on out, paint miniatures with us, win some free stuff, and just have a good time. It'll be a blast.
Josh is in the chat and said, Rick, have you thought about making this a program with other conventions? I'm sponsoring 2, possibly 3 paint and takes out of my own pocket. How do you get these companies on board with promotion?
I choke them like Vader.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, I thought you were going to do like a choke hold.
Oh yeah, and I rub your head. You will do this. You will participate.
Altering the deed.
So, I would love to work and take this level of paint and take to different conventions, and help people. The biggest thing is you got to make partnerships and relationships with the publishers, right? Like if you go to Adepticon, you got to shake those hands. You got to tell them what you're doing, and the level of your how you work with people also facilitates this as well. I've been in the industry almost 10 years now, and but I was industry adjacent for many years, for 30 plus years. You know, so in the comic book side, I owned my own store for a while, but because I am so immersed, it makes it easier for me to go and talk to the president of WizKids and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. You guys want to participate? And they're going to be like, yes. And I also run their TikTok, so that doesn't hurt either, right? So, but the thing is you can't be scared to ask. And if they say no, you know, ask them again the next year and give them numbers. This convention had this many attendees, you know, and stuff like that, because that's what they want to know. How many attendees? And it's not, you know, don't make your paint and take like every other paint and take where someone comes in and sits down or comes up and they're like, oh yeah, I'd like to participate. And they're like, okay, cool. It's, you know, go ahead and pick a miniature and go ahead and have a seat, right? I'm not doing that. You can do that, right?
Yeah.
At my paint and take, you can come in and you can go have it, pick a miniature, go have a seat. But my whole thing too is the publishers were nice enough to donate and participate and send those miniatures. So I'm going to do everything I can to get everybody that stops by or sits down to boost their social media platforms, right? To engage with those companies that were kind enough to participate with us, become partners in play. So I'm going to, when you sit down at a station to paint a miniature, there's going to be like a little toy statue that holds your cell phone. And then there's going to be a placemat, not a playmat, but a placemat that's like the old 1, 2, 3's ABCs that you could clean off, but it's going to be branded by Weird or by Steamforged or by all these different companies. Are going to have a QR code. Watch this video on how to play Malifaux while you paint your miniature. Get a raffle ticket, right? All that stuff. So they're going to be engaged, and it's going to be a cell phone charger. So while you're sitting there, you can charge your cell phone as well. And, you know, things that are, you know, hard to find at conventions is, man, my phone's dying. My battery's dead already. The Wi-Fi here sucks and it's draining my battery. Come over, paint a miniature for an hour, charge your battery, watch a video, you know, make it something that is more fun and engaging than just, sure, here's a miniature, go have a seat. Thank you. Right? Because that's just not how I want to do it. And I don't think others should be doing it like that either. Because that's boring.
Come up with something fun, is what you're saying.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
Excellent. So bring a whole bunch of oven mitts and make people paint with oven mitts on?
That's what we do when we have our painting competitions. Yeah.
Yep.
Our, what was it? Iron Chef? Iron Chef painting competition?
It's more like Chopped.
Chopped, yeah.
Excellent. Excellent.
No yellow, only mayonnaise, only mustard. You can use mustard to paint, but there's no yellow paints.
Okay. It also comes in a pot and you squeeze it out, but it is actually mustard that's in the yellow paint pots.
Thanks. We're not going to tell you that till later.
Yeah. Thank you. But for the person that asked that question, if you have any questions and you'd like to reach out, you can always just contact me, contact Dave, who can get you in contact with me, and I can help you, like, come up with some ideas, maybe help you with some connections that you may not already have, to facilitate.
You can join forces and expand, so you can do more shows.
Yep.
Right.
That was Josh Potter. So.
Oh yeah, Rick, you know Josh.
Yep. For sure. Excellent. Well, it is just after 8 o'clock, and now it's the time we usually, usually we're already sort of knee deep in these, but something, I'm just going to switch our view to show Scott Radom.
Oh yeah, Rick, he's got a bunch of the the Marvel dudes you were talking about.
Oh no,
Okay, so we can put it on.
I'm not showing pictures of Scott's Marvel dudes. It's a picture of Scott holding these Slammy. Just wanted to remind people that so last week we got the wonderful idea from Scott about because we were talking about doing giveaways and that kind of thing, but we're connecting it to a challenge, a Build Paint Play challenge, where week 1 you show us a miniature that you've built.
So this week.
That's this week. So we've got a bunch of minis that people have posted over the past few days. We'll give it another couple of days so you can post pictures of your build. Next week we want to see photos of those models painted. And then the week after is photos of those models being played with. Preferably on a gaming table. But
Not just smashing my tanks together.
or a video of you going pew pew pew. That could work as well, but I just realized that nobody got to see me doing that. I always forget when we're in this screen format. Just like that.
Just like I did it, only more Australian.
What's that?
It looked just like I did it, only more Australian.
It did. Yes, much more Australian. It was upside down, is that what you're saying?
Yes. It was like this.
Woo! Fantastic. Now that I know you can do that, we're going to have to use that more often. Fantastic. So thanks very much to Scott for this idea. The first models that we've got, we're going to show here, are from Ben. Ben Fail. You're a partner in crime at Alpha Omega Hobby.
Yep.
And these are some spawn that he's doing for his World Eater army. Some Chaos spawn.
Yeah, they came out pretty rad.
Yeah, they are pretty cool. So these are using the... I can never remember the name of them. The Crypt Horrors.
Yep.
So the Crypt Horrors from the... I've gone and forgotten that as well. Flesh Eater Quartz. There we go.
Yep.
If I sit here long enough, I'll remember all the things. Right? Fantastic.
I forget what the heads are from.
What's that?
I forget what the heads are from.
This, so there's one there, and I'm pretty sure that head might be from, like, the Hellbrute model.
Oh, yeah, you might...
Maybe.
Yeah, you might be right.
It looks like it's sort of pushing
It
through
looks like
something.
a Skeksis.
Looks like a what?
A Skeksis.
I don't know. I think those hunchbacks definitely have that feel for sure. But yeah, these are looking really cool, Ben. I'm looking forward to seeing them painted up. It'll be very neat to see them. Next up, we have Brian Martin is working on some Adeptus Titanicus Knights, Imperial Knights.
What are those, Cerastus Knights?
These ones are the I think the Porphyron ones. So the even bigger ones. So they have like the conversion beamer arms. So these are crazy fierce, but yeah, they're not quite the size of. I think they're about the size of a Warhound Titan.
Yeah, they're close. They're like they're about the same height. The Warhound is a little bit bulkier.
Sure. But yeah, these are looking good. All of the Adeptus Titanicus range is pretty amazing. Such incredible kits. So much detail. Detail is insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're looking good. I'm excited to see the playing picture of these. I think it'll be great to see them on the table. Looking good there, Brian. Next up, Chris Gorka. You're starting a new Beasts of Chaos army for Age of Sigmar.
That model rules.
Yep, this is one of the new. That's the new Beast Lord model, right?
Yep.
So it does look absolutely awesome. He said that he already has a Beasts of Chaos army, but it's all on square bases, so he's saving it for Warhammer: The Old World when that is eventually released. When did I predict that was going to be released?
We think it's going to be. It's not this coming. It's not this summer. It's next summer.
Next summer, you think? Oh, sorry, that's what I think. Okay.
Yep.
Yep, that's my prediction then. It's early summer 2024. Look out for it now. But yeah, it's gonna be great to see Chris paint this up, and if he keeps painting it the pace he's been doing already, we should see the entire army finished by like 2 weeks from now. That's my challenge to you, Chris.
Seriously.
He'll be done by Sunday.
Maybe.
He's so fast and good.
That model's already done. This model's from like 2 days ago.
Right. Yeah. That's true. Next up, we have an Iron Warriors Vindicator. It's a conversion.
That model is rad though. Oh, this is Cliff.
Yep, Cliff Edder's conversion there. And we've got one from the front, and I wasn't sure what was used for the barrel there. Is this from the 40K plastic Vindicator?
So I think he's got parts of the 40K Vindicator, and then he 3D printed like some of the plates and some of the back pieces.
Okay.
And then he used a Dremel to like damage it all up. That's why like all the plates on the right side that are all kind of dinged up,
Yep.
and like all the ridges, the metal ridges on the front, he used a Dremel to like chip all that stuff up.
Right.
Nice.
Yeah, looking very cool. And I think I don't know if he's just doing one. I think he might be doing a 3.
Yeah, I think he's doing a squadron.
Yeah, these will be the ones to go with. Because the Demolisher Cannon's brutal, isn't it? The brutal,
Yeah.
brutal 2, brutal 3. So
Yeah, it's brutal 2 or 3. I don't remember which one.
yeah, it's very nice. One of the few ranged weapons that has brutal for Horus Heresy. But yeah, looking good, Cliff. Very nice. Next up, we have Dan Wood. He's painting up a whole bunch of Aeronautica Imperialis.
Yeah, a bunch of Xiphons and 2 Fire Raptors and then a Thunderhawk.
Yep. So, they're looking very good. So just quickly, well, we've got something from Sean a little bit later, but he said that he's going to be painting up a Lumineth bolt thrower. And he has one of them primed. So you should definitely have one painted by next week, right, Sean? Thumbs up. Excellent. Sorry, Brian says, woohoo, shout out. They're an Asterius Knight banner. Are those knights that we saw. Chris Skork is saying, unfortunately for my army, commissions become first, so hopefully I'll have the beast finished in a few months. That's fair enough. That's all good. and Dan says, crap, I have to paint these now. Yes, you do. But they're tiny. They're tiny.
The Thunderhawk is gorgeous. It is a great model kit.
Yeah. Yeah. That's absolutely would be absolutely insane. Having painted a Stormbird, the bigger than Thunderhawk in 28 mil scale.
You painted the Solar Stormbird?
Yeah, having painted one of those. I don't want to see any excuses, Dan. It's so much easier.
Was that a commission?
Yeah. Yep. I'll send you some photos later.
Nice.
Yep.
Yeah, the Stormbird that's another great looking model. I mean, I'm not ordering one in resin, but it's a great looking model.
Nice. Next up is me.
You?
Yeah, me.
What?
I am going to be painting up these guys.
What are those guys called?
Hernkin Pioneers.
Right.
Is that the motorcycle gang from Mandalorian?
Yeah,
Those
it
are
is.
the
Absolutely. Yeah.
It looks great.
Hang on a second. And there's one with a dude on the back. Yeah.
Nice.
I painted up a unit already for my Leagues of O10 army, and I wasn't sure how well they would do. But I watched the battle report the other day where a unit of 6 of them was really very nasty. So I was like, oh, okay, I better build another 3 and add them to run a unit of 6. But it was funny because obviously I'm building a whole bunch of Horus Heresy stuff, but I'm not going to have this army completely finished in 2 weeks. So I wasn't going to play a game with it. So instead, 2 weeks' time, I'll play a game with a 40k game with my Leagues of Votan army.
They're the only thing in that army that moves fast, right? They're the only fast vehicle they have.
Pretty much, I think. Yeah.
Well, Dave, I was going to tell you is if you're having trouble building your army or your legion or your horde, there's a book out that helps you in preparing to paint armies, legions, and hordes.
Oh wow! Okay. I
wasn't sure if you knew that.
No, I was unaware. This sounds like a wonderful book. Who may have written this book? Oh my goodness! Excellent. Cool. Oh, Sean says, "Yep, he's going to paint his bolt thrower," and Dan says, "I'll find some kind of excuse." All good.
Are a lot of your viewers going to be at Adepticon by chance? That you know of?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure how many people are going to be at Adepticon, but I think there are quite a few that will be there. I don't know if all of them will be there, but we'd love to see. I'm
trying to get in to see the previews event on Wednesday, just so you know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how that works out. If it's invite only or if I have to choke someone out.
No, it's a ticketed event. It's a free event though. But I have heard that if you missed out on a ticket, that you could probably just walk up to the. I think.
I thought you don't need a ticket if you're a vendor.
Well, that could be a possibility as well. But
I mean, unless they change it, the last 3 years I've never had a ticket. But again, I've had a vendor. So
the other thing as well is because it's on Wednesday night and registration opens on Wednesday night. A lot of people haven't waited in line to get their badges and their tickets and that kind of thing, so they are a little bit more relaxed on that kind of stuff.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, you should be able to do that. Call for fire. That's Aaron says, "What's the super fun hashtag?" I don't know. We haven't come up with a super fun hashtag. Let's just go with Build Paint Play Challenge. Hashtag Build Paint Play Challenge, because I like the long hashtags.
You do.
I did it deliberately because I knew that Rick would shake his head. Rick's all into like the 3-letter hashtags and that kind of thing. I'm always into super specifics.
He's like, it's the February 2023 Build Paint Play hashtag.
Yeah, there we go. Let's go with that one. But no, Aaron's already typed it in there. See, Build Paint Play Challenge. Doesn't take long. Get those thumbs working. Awesome. Sorry. Okay, so that's what I'm doing. Keep an eye out for these for next week.
Call for fire.
Call for fire. Call for fire. Yep.
That's right. Hashtag BPP. Build Paint Play.
Yeah.
Yes. That's a hashtag.
BPPC. Build Paint Play Challenge.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the British Petroleum Problems. That's what BPP is, or
yeah. Exactly. Anyway, speaking of somebody who will be at Adepticon, this is Doc. This is Jason Dyer. He is preparing for the 40k friendly. Apparently with these hydras. Pardon?
I said obviously with 2 hydras.
Yeah, with 2 hydras. So apparently, one of the games, or possibly more of the games, you're required to bring a flyer. So he will have a flyer that he's going to be working on, but he's going to bring along some hydras as well. So we'll be painting these up. And you gotta love that you can tell that they're the plastic ones because those barrels are straight.
Yep.
Yeah, lovely. And Josh says, "Are you down with BPP?" Yeah, you know.
Yeah, you know me.
So, well done.
Awesome stuff. So yeah, that's Jason Dyer. We're looking forward to seeing those painted up. And next up, we've got one from Scott. I pulled this. I'm not sure if he was planning on entering this in the challenge, but I didn't have anything else there from him. Mick Palazzi's in here saying hello from Oz. Hello, Mick.
Wait, I didn't say hello.
Welcome. No. Australia.
The
other Oz. Or the land of Oz, whichever one.
The other.
Yeah. One of the other Ozes. But yeah. Great to see you. So yeah, this one's from Scott. So this is these put together and putting a base together based on information that he learned at LVO. So you can see a lot of lines on this.
Yeah.
Okay, so those vertical lines, or almost vertical lines, the purple lines, these are those parallel lines going on. So he's creating a, what's the term?
Your visual reference framework.
It's a framed, a framed composition. The those two red lines will draw attention to the center there, which is going to be the face of the model. And then there are two yellow lines, which are a little bit fainter, a little bit harder to see, but it's the angle of the hat and the angle of the ground are being kept parallel. But there's a slight kick on them. Okay? So all of those things keep everything aligned. And because even with something that's asymmetrical, people like to have those lines. You feel more comfortable when you see those lines are in there, or when your brain picks up on those lines there. You may not notice it consciously, but subconsciously with that. So I'm hoping that this means that Scott will paint this up in the next week and then play with it a week later.
The other day when he posted on Facebook today, he said that he's going to try to get the because this guy's part of his war band for Malifaux.
Okay, cool.
So he said he's going to try to get those guys done.
Excellent. That would be good. So he'll be one of the 5 people you know who play Malifaux.
Yeah, I already counted him. I'm not counting him again.
Fantastic. So that at the moment that's who we've got for the painting challenge, the build paint play challenge, and you can surprise us in the next couple of days by posting a picture of one of your completed predators, like assembled predators, and then paint it in the next week.
I kind of wanted to just use my dreadnoughts that I just finished building literally in time for last episode. Because I want to get those painted, but
yeah, you can use those. And Rick, you can use one of your Horizon Zero Dawn minis.
No, I'm actually playing a game tomorrow. I had forgotten, but I am. I'm on another podcast tomorrow, and then we're doing it here at my in the podcast studio room here. And then afterwards, I'm going to be taught how to play Dead Zone by Mantic. By the podcast is called Dead Zone Podcast.
Okay.
And they're going to teach me how to play Dead Zone afterwards.
Nice. Very cool.
It's going to be kind of
pretty rad.
Excellent. Okay, so then we've got 4 photos that I grabbed from the group of things that folks are working on. The first one we've got here is from Chris Jones. Chris is in Vancouver, or the Vancouver area, Greater Vancouver area. But he went to a painting sort of seminar day run by BB Miniatures. You can check out BB Miniatures on Instagram. But it was an NMM, non-metallic metal class. So they spent a whole day working on non-metallic metals and learning the not just the approach of how you build up reflections or how you build up the colors to give you something that looks like steel, polished steel, or dark iron or gold or that kind of thing. But a lot of time working on the reflections in the environment. And I really love the work that Chris has done here. It's still a bit of work to sort of refine and smooth everything out. But if you stop and look at these, the wonderful reflections in here, you start to get an idea, a sense of the environment around this night.
It's super cool. I think, again, we've talked this before. Like, metallic is not something that I'm gonna ever do. But
Sure.
I think that one of the coolest things out there is like Scale 75 makes little, kits that are like this big,
Right.
and they make 3 specific NMM packs. So
Right.
they make a silver one that's basically all the colors you need to do silver. They make a gold one that's like all yellows and tans and stuff, and then they make a copper one that's all like brassy, like reddish tones
Oranges and stuff. Yep.
Yeah, it's super cool. I think it's like it's 8. I think each one of them is 8 paints.
Something like
so
that.
you have the pack, and it's like all the colors that you would need to do silver, gold, or bronze. It's pretty cool. So
Yep. But I'm looking forward to seeing Chris do some more of this and post it in the group. But
it
absolutely.
looks like a mini from Dark Souls. I don't think it is, but it looks like a Dark Souls mini.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's a good looking sculpt.
It is.
Yeah.
It is really nice sculpt. Yeah, it's super cool. Hopefully Chris Gawker is still with us, because I just had to grab this picture of one of his Night Abominant, or at least a Night Abominant he's painting up for a commission, with a fantastic green plasma glow.
This guy's
Look at that.
He's here.
part of the and Spice Lance. Like they're so cool looking. Like his oranges came out great. I really love the green, like the verdigris effect on all the brass.
Yeah.
But yeah, that light effect, like it looks like there's an LED in there.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Mhm.
It's absolutely awesome. But it's
He
it's one of those things with the texture of that plasma, the plasma weapons, that the way that GW does that texture with the coils. It always feels like, well, the quickest thing to do is to like paint it blue or paint it green or whatever, and then like dry brush a highlight over it.
Mhm.
It doesn't. That can give you a pretty good looking effect, but it's not anywhere near what this is, which is reversing where the highlights are, or where the lighter, brighter colors are. Just like reversing what you might expect to see on like in fire or flames.
Yeah.
So
This is the way. Every time I've done lighting effects, this is the way it's supposed to look. It's supposed to be the hottest colors are supposed to be at the inside,
Yep.
not at the tips. So like whenever people do plasma and lighting effects, I'm always like, it looks cool, but I'm like, but it's backwards. Like Chris did it the right way. Like the hottest part is the center part and everything is like bleeding out. Like it looks phenomenal.
Yep. And thankfully Chris has read my mind without me having to express it. But so it's a base of white, lime, then green ink from scale 75. Glaze those away from the center, then glaze fluoro yellow over the green towards the center. So he's starting with that bright white, getting a base, like mid-tone, like getting a mid-tone in there, taking it to the darkest sections at the edges, and then coming back with that fluorescent yellow. Where's the fluoro yellow from? Chris,
It's
is that
scale
fun?
75.
Is scale
It's scale.
75?
Yeah, we carry the fluor. The fluor colors are awesome. It's basically like an 80s pack.
Right.
It's
Okay.
it's
a crazy
bright.
synth wave thing.
It's all the bananas like neon colors. It's like electric blue and like electric pink and there's like a yellow and a green. Like they're super cool. I always tell people it's right up there with like Turbo Dorks. It's really, really cool paint. It's an awesome effect. You are gonna want to use it sparingly because less is more.
Right.
Like they look phenomenal.
Yep.
But yeah, the floor kit's really cool.
Oh, there we go. Chris used the Vallejo fluoros.
Well, okay.
Yeah, but you can't
The
use scale
Vallejo
75.
75, they're the same. So.
Yeah. Yep. That is right. Or even huge minis. So huge minis have a fluoro line as well. But yeah, I can definitely see that you would not want to. You would be able to have that fluoro bottle of paint forever.
Yeah.
Or perhaps share it around amongst your gaming group. Whoever needs needs to borrow the fluoro for next week.
It was the cool effect I did a while back, and it's before the fluoro colors really existed.
Yep.
So I did. What are the Drakari jet bikes called?
Oh,
You know what I'm talking about? Right? Like they're the sharp fish hook looking Eldar jet bikes.
Yep.
So I got a unit of those, and they have like these creases where all the armor plates are.
Okay.
So I sprayed the whole model white, and then I used, because they didn't exist, I think I used like a pink wash.
Yep.
And I put the pink wash all over the lines, and then I went back and I painted all of the plates black.
Yep.
Yeah, Reavers. So it looks like something out of Tron.
Okay.
It's like all the bikes, all the lines between the plates all look like they're glowing.
Right.
But with the floral paints, it would look even better. So I might try it again at some point with the floral paints.
Yeah, you'll have to do that. But looks fantastic, Chris. Very impressive. Lovely work. Next up, we have Vulcan, the Primarch Vulcan, Salamander's Primarch from Jeff Smith, which looks absolutely fantastic. This is another awesome sculpt. Just done a great job here painting this guy up.
It is pretty rad. It does look like he's about to like finish off the salamander that's on the ground. He's like, "I'm sorry, my son." Smash.
I have a feeling there are more Alpha Legionnaires sort of rushing towards him.
Yeah, for sure.
And that's why the hammer's raised. But yeah, it looks awesome. I think my favorite thing there is the green of Vulcan's armor. It's got that wonderful vibrancy that sort of really draws your eye to it. Whereas the salamander who's on the ground is further away. You don't want to draw attention to him.
Yeah.
He's there, so his armor is a little bit more muted. But
he's rad. There's not enough people that play salamanders. Like I never see like really nice, like green armies.
Right.
Like whenever people play Dark Angels, there's like 1 or 2 bits of green, but it's basically a Deathwing list or a Ravenwing list. It's never really, or it's Heresy, so they're wearing black. But I don't usually see a lot of like green Space Marines. And like whenever somebody does salamanders, they do them the right way. They're such an awesome color scheme.
Yep. Well, hopefully, green-wise, like moving away from the dark green or the mid green of dark green of Dark Angels and mid green of salamanders. Hopefully, Aaron will post a few more photos of his Sons of Medusa.
Yeah,
really...
they're awesome. They're like highlighter green.
Yeah, the bright lime green.
They look rad. They look super rad, but
yeah, they do. Absolutely awesome. And then last but not least, we have Sean Gleason's Lumineth Blade Lords.
Nice.
So these are the awesome minis that Sean's been working on his Lumineth army for at least a year, possibly a little bit longer. I remember we used to look at it on Painting Happy Little Minis, but yeah, these
he had another photo that's those same dudes from the back, so you can see their cloaks.
Right.
And he painted all their cloaks like a light effect.
All right, cool, like a shimmering prism.
No, it's like there's. I think they're painted to look like the sunset. I think.
Oh, okay.
Or like the sky. So there's like a pattern on them.
Right. Cool.
They look slick. I mean, they came out great.
Yeah. I think Sean's done a great job there. I'm looking forward to now that we know that he's going to be working on a bolt thrower. Looking forward to seeing that photo of one painted for next week, Sean.
Sick band.
But yeah. Fantastic.
Yeah.
So there we go. Lots of great photos from the group. That's the Facebook group. So don't forget, if you are not yet a member of our Facebook group and you want to join, there's a link down below. Just click that, click join, and somebody will come along and let you in the door. I can't hear you. What did you...
Dave will come along.
Well, actually, I've set it up so that I think if you're friends with somebody who's already in the group, they'll get a notification as well, and they can let you in. So it's not dependent on me checking every day.
Oh, okay.
So it should be good. But yes. Oh, sorry. Sean says the bolt thrower is in the back of that photo that we just saw. So
It was. You could just see the base. It was like up on top of paint bottles.
Yep. Just sitting up behind those guys. So fantastic. Awesome. Well, there we go. It is 8:36.
My favorite thing on that line is the what's his name, Ectherian, the like suit of armor ghost.
Oh, Eltharion. Yep.
Yeah, he's super cool. That guy's rad.
You don't like the guys riding the kangaroos?
They're okay.
I'm kind of partial to them, of course, but
I mean, of course you are.
yeah.
Drop bears as some sort of like legion or horde.
Well, I think
Yeah, I think-
that's what Ben was working on earlier on in the show.
Is that what those were? Those are drop bears from Aussie?
Well,
Aussieland?
they're modeled on those, yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. All right.
There we go. There's another look at them.
This would be cooler if the elves were like in the pouches.
Oh,
Hanging out.
of the kangaroos, sure. Yep.
Yeah, that'd be rad.
Yeah, nothing makes it into the pouches of the drop bears.
Makes sense.
But they do have them though. Fantastic. So, thanks very much for joining us, Rick. Thanks for telling us
Absolutely. Having me.
a bit more about what it is that you've been doing, what you've been up to, and the plans you have to bring painting miniatures, painting Happy Little Minis, to the rest of the world.
Yeah.
No,
Fingers crossed.
fingers crossed. Fantastic. But yeah,
Or I'm that 50-plus-year-old virgin just sitting here going, and I'm going to go ahead and paint your scales green.
yes.
Bob Ross meme that somebody made with him painting an orc. And he talks about his teeth, and it's like he's like, I'm gonna give this little rascal white teeth. People think he's mean, but I just think he's misunderstood.
I thought for a second there you're going to talk about the piece of artwork that was done when I joined.
Let's do.
Which was Rick as Bob Ross. Rick as Bob Ross painting me painting a mini. So he had the palette and he had the thing, he had the wig, and on the
I've never seen that.
picture
That's
was
pretty
painting.
meta.
We'll have to find that, and it was
Super
I'm
funny.
sure that. But yeah, it was definitely.
Oh, I forgot to post that. I forgot to
It
post
was,
that.
it was in Game Trade magazine.
Yeah,
Really?
yep.
Yeah.
Probably in 2018. It would have been early 2018. Go back, have a look back through your back issues.
Yeah.
Back issues are in recycling, dude.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Makes sense.
That's cool.
Hopefully, you guys have a photo of it somewhere.
Yep.
I'm sure there's a photo out there. I actually might have a copy of the GTM that has it in there.
Yeah. Nice. So next week on the show, I haven't talked with Jake about this, but I'm going to pick up on an idea that my friend Dave Powell's suggested, that we should have a bit of a deeper dive into movies that we watch or that we have on in the background while we're hobbying.
Okay.
Netflix.
Yeah, see if we can get some of that sweet Netflix sponsorship.
Marketing money.
But no, this is based on the following up on the Spray Team conversation.
Sure.
So when we were at Spray Team, all the terrible 80s movies that we watched.
There's a lot of them.
Yeah, we did watch a lot of them. We probably watched like
Terrible 80s movies.
there are no terrible. Yes, no.
Okay.
But we watched 7 or 8 movies a day for like nearly 3 days. So, but is it one of those things where the only time you ever watch Megaforce is when you're like
So good.
in a room like
Right?
with 12 other other hobbyists?
Terrible. Awesome.
But yeah, oh
You watch the what's that movie with Mutant Chronicles? Yeah,
no, we didn't. Actually, no, we didn't. Maybe next year we'll watch that.
you should.
But yeah, definitely cool. Well, Alex has said, I thought painting is supposed to be done only in tomb-like silence. No, not at all. You can do it like that if you want to. That's up to you. But if you want to let us know, I'll put up a post in the Facebook group. You can start to put down your favorite movies for painting too, and we'll chat about that next week.
Yeah.
Should be good. And 2 weeks' time, so on the 21st, I think. Is that right? Is it the 7th today?
Today is the 7th.
2 weeks' time, we'll have Owen from Nova Open. He'll be coming on to tell us more about the show and the new venue that they're going to be at this year, 2023. And that'll be about a week ahead of when tickets go on sale for Nova Open. So
New
Right.
venue. I kind of like the weird vertical hotel that they're in now, where everything's like
where everything's
kinda
super
neat.
stacked and it all like 2,000 attendees need to use the same 4 elevators.
Yeah.
Hard pass. I think
You got to go up and go down.
Yep, this new venue has like 2 floors. 2
When it
floors
was
for
smaller-
activities.
When it was smaller, it was really cool because like you could look down from like the main venue,
Sure.
like the main level, into like where the vendor hall was, and you could see people gaming on the wings. It was just neat. Like it's the only show I've ever been to where like you can kind of have that kind of vantage.
Sure, yeah, it was interesting, definitely, but
Yeah.
but it had,
It is definitely not.
had its issues. But
Right.
yeah, time for a new venue, and we'll hopefully we'll get some photos from Owen of the new venue, and we can talk about different things that are going on at the show. That'll be in 2 weeks' time. Next week, week 2 of the Build Paint Play Challenge, hashtag Build Paint Play Challenge, and talking about movies. Sound good?
Yeah, that sounds good. I'm down.
Awesome. Cool. Well, thanks very much for joining us, Rick.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And this is the time when I should be getting ready to play our outro.
Yeah,
Oh,
and
you
make sure you guys tell anybody who's watching. Make sure you guys, put this up on your social media and like tell your friends, and hopefully like grow it bigger so we can do more stuff.
Yes, thank you. I did forget to say subscribe, like, comment, all that sort of
There
fun
we go.
stuff.
Hit the bell, hit the little bell so you get notified when you go live.
Yep.
Yeah, there we go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, click the bell for sure.
Ding the
I
dong.
think that's it. We'll see. Well, we can each do one.
No, that's not how we get. Because you got to do it for you guys.
Okay, Rick's not gonna do it. We're gonna try it. Okay, so thank you guys so much for joining us, and don't forget to
Build,
paint.
play. Are we going to go with that? Is that how we're going to do it?
We can try it that way, or
Sure.
what do you think? Rick? Like that one, or no? You don't like that one?
But you shouldn't be continuing to talk about it. You should just cut.
All right, cool.
Bye.
Shut up and sit down.
Romantic, isn't it?
Shut up and sit down.